8 years ago, Charles Leclerc won the first ever Formula 2 title. Since then, despite 7 seasons at Ferrari, he has been provided with a grand total of 0 cars capable of consistently fighting for wins, making it impossible to win the Formula 1 championship. That's why rumors have emerged about him leaving the team for greener pastures. Today, on the Racing Chronicle, we'll talk about which team Charles Leclerc should sign for if given the chance. Throughout his time at Ferrari, Leclerc has established himself as one of the top drivers in the sport. Most noteworthy is his ability to put the car much higher on the starting grid than it deserves. Although that's also because of the way Ferrari has been building their cars. But that combination is the reason why he has so many poles but such an awful pole-to-win conversion rate. I mean, if he gets the pole with a car that has no business winning the race, there's literally no place to go but down the order. With a car actually capable of winning races and not just getting pole positions, there's no doubt in my mind that at the very least, we would have had some fun seeing him fight till the very end with Max Verstappen. Today, we'll compare 5 options: Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes, Aston Martin, or staying at Ferrari. I'll rank them from worst to best, but bear in mind this depends on some unknown factors, such as where the teams land under the new regulations, the rumored clause in his contract that will allow him to leave at the end of the 2027 season, and whether Verstappen has left Red Bull and which team did he sign for. So this is an ideal but realistic scenario where we'll analyze if the opportunity arises for him to join the team, what should he do? That's the premise of the video. Red Bull, the worst choice by far. Why, you may be wondering? Well, it's simple, because of Max Verstappen. If he's not there when the 2028 season starts, or even before that, it means that the team has truly imploded and it's not capable of producing a decent enough car for Max, which will mean that the car is not good enough to fight for the championship in anyone's hand. So going there is just not worth it for Leclerc. The other case scenario is Verstappen still being there, which means they have a good car, but in the box next to you, you'll have a guy who is amongst the best drivers in the history of the sport. Despite that, if it gives him a guaranteed shot at the title, and he's desperate enough, he might take it, because if he beats, say, at least 4-time world champion, who's been with the team for 10 plus seasons, and is considered one of the best to ever do it, he will be positioning himself right on that step with just 1 season. Honestly though, my money will not be on Leclerc. Changing teams and beating Max Verstappen of all people will be too much for anyone. That's why Red Bull should be at the bottom of his options for me. And although this is a supposedly best case scenario, I'm not going to say Verstappen will retire after winning the championship. As I said, it's a best case scenario but still realistic, and Verstappen leaving a title capable car for Leclerc will make no sense in my mind, so I'm not even going to entertain that idea. When the 2028 season starts, Alonso will be far gone, and there's a vacant spot on that team. Vacant, singular, because we got to assume Stroll is still on that as long as my dad is basically the owner, I'll be one of the drivers type of contract. So there are 2 possible scenarios here. Alonso retires at the end of the 2026 season, meaning at the end of this year, and by his own words, he'll do that if things go well and he can leave Formula 1 behind on a high. In this scenario, Aston and Leclerc will have to break his contract with Ferrari to sign him a year before that release clause activates. And in my personal opinion, I don't feel like that's going to happen. Leclerc leaving Ferrari is one thing, but actively breaking the relationship like this just feels like a weird choice for him if he loves the team so much. Unless Aston wants to sacrifice a year waiting for Leclerc with a car that allows Fernando to leave on a high, they will most likely sign a top driver, someone they can put Adrian Newey's project behind, so the door for Leclerc will be closed for 2027. The other case scenario is Alonso retires at the end of the 2027 season, which might seem perfect, but if we take his words as what he'll be doing, then that car is most likely not going to be a championship contender. And once again, if that's the case, there's no point in him joining them. So to sum it up, in the first case, he's available too late, and in the second one, Aston Martin is too slow for him to join them. Alright, now we start going somewhere. McLaren, Constructors Champion for the past 2 years. And if we know one thing about the upcoming regulations, it's that, at least during the first season, it seems that the Mercedes engine is to be the one who's going to set the pace. When we didn't know the way they were achieving this whole analysis was a lot simpler. Now that we know the apparent advantage lies in that compression ratio of the internal combustion engine, and the FIA is probably not going to allow them to continue with it for the 2027 season and onwards, it's hard to tell if that advantage will still be there in the future. However, I'd say we can all agree that having a head start at the beginning of the regulations is something good, and sets a positive tone for the rest of them. Still, there are two key aspects to analyze here in my opinion. The first one being that it is a Mercedes engine, not McLaren's, not an engine specifically manufactured for McLaren. So making a car good enough to beat the works team again seems a little far-fetched to me. I mean, since the start of the century, only one other team managed to win the championship while being a customer, and it was Brown GP in 2009 under really specific circumstances. It's true that until 2016, the engine given to customer teams didn't need to be identical as per regulations, but being able to adapt the engine to the entire philosophy of your car seems like too big of an advantage to just ignore. To add on to that, I find it hard to believe Norris or Piastri will move away from McLaren in the middle of the new regulations. They are doing great, the team is doing great, so there won't be any reason to replace them or to leave the team. And Piastri undoubtedly believes he can beat Norris at some point, so I don't really see that lineup changing anytime soon. If you enjoyed the video so far, leave a like and subscribe. But most importantly, tell me down in the comments which team should Leclerc sign for in 2028. I know what you're thinking. If Mercedes is second, that means I'm saying his best option is to stay with Ferrari. And just hear me out, Let me get there. Mercedes seems like the best non-Ferrari option to me, mainly because they're the masters of their own destiny when it comes to their engine. It's theirs, they decide what to do with it, and they can choose to develop it in a way that best suits the car. Since the start of the turbo hybrid era, they've had basically the best engine at almost any given point. So there's no doubt in my mind they'll be able to bounce back and manufacture a really good engine when the FIA takes away their compression ratio advantage in 2027 or even sooner. Now that Christian Horner is gone, Toto Wolff is the longest standing team principal on the grid. And I think that's one of the keys to success in Formula 1. Get a capable guy in front and let him work, which just doesn't happen at Ferrari. There's already rumors of them firing Frédéric Vasseur, which will make him the 15th principal since Wolff took charge of Mercedes back in 2013. Just way too many team principals and not enough stability for Ferrari. And of course, we can't forget there's the Verstappen factor at play here. If he leads Red Bull, his most likely destination would be Mercedes. But if he's not in the market, meaning he stays at Red Bull, I think that an Antonelli Leclerc exchange will leave everyone kinda happy, since Ferrari are dying to put an Italian driver on the team. We just have to look at how long they kept Giovinazzi around, and I believe the potential Antonelli has will make him a great replacement for Leclerc at the Scuderia. Yes, I do seriously believe staying with Ferrari is his best option. Not by much though, it's a fine margin. Going to Mercedes also sounds really good, but I think staying at Ferrari just barely edges it out. Getting a top seat in Formula 1 is no easy feat, even when everyone knows just how good you are. You can ask Fernando Alonso about that if you don't believe me. So leaving for a team that doesn't guarantee you being at the top is way too desperate. Any other choice that's not Mercedes wouldn't really appear to me if I was Leclerc, because Ferrari is usually capable of making a car to fight for wins at least a few races each year. Keyword being usually. I know there are a lot of negatives, and the main one is probably their president, John Elkann, who doesn't seem to realize Ferrari's whole problem is not a driver one or a team principal. It's a structural problem, and most likely than not, starts with himself, to be honest. And despite all that, the main thing for me to keep in our head here is that we've gotta factor in the sentimental value of staying. Charles Leclerc has been a tifosi since he was a child, and now he is il predestinato, the one who's set to bring the championship back to Maranello. If he manages to win that championship, he's going to be immortal in Italy. That title will have more value than any other he could achieve with any other team, and I believe he should stay and fight for it, no matter how long it takes. He's 28 now, probably a bit too old to rack up a bunch of titles and be up there with Schumacher, Hamilton, Fangio and the rest. So being the one to win the title for the Scuderia after at least 17 years, being the first driver to come out of their academy, a Ferrari product true and true, would undoubtedly set him apart from the rest. And I mean, it's Ferrari. Despite all their problems, they've got the money, they've got the facilities. Even a broken clock is right twice a day, so they gotta make a championship winning car sooner rather than later. Right guys? Right?
I am stupid. I am stupid.
Thank you all for watching the video. If you made it this far, I'm guessing you like it or at least found it interesting. So let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. You can also follow me on my social media. My plan is to keep publishing videos about these fast, colorful cars that we all enjoy watching. Until next time.